Hey guys, Andy and Nathan from WagerTalk.com. We have arguably the biggest event of the year in UFC. We got UFC 280, and we're going to break down a specific fight for this event. We do have a 5% play that is up right now on WagerTalk.com. We're on a really nice 18-7 run. You've seen me and Nathan break down Dana White Contender Series. And Nathan and I collaborate on all of our UFC plays. So grab that at wagertalk.com. It's a 5% play. We're on a really, really nice 5% run in UFC and across all sports. But Nathan, of all the fights that are taking place, we figured we would break down one that may be off people's radars here. So let's break down Makhmud Muradov and Caio Borralho. We got Borralho as a really, really big favorite. You think this is very much a live dog. So talk to us what you expect from this fight. It's very compelling. I think this is a fun fight that not a lot of people are talking about. So what do you expect in this one?
I expect it to be definitely interesting. I think that of the fights on this card, this one stands to have a really good chance of the upset. You got Makhmud Muradov here at 25-7. Rather big underdog in this fight. Took a year off after losing to Mearshart, which is these days he's on some sort of run, just beating Bruno Silva in a pretty impressive fashion there. So nothing to cry about in that loss. I think that he's probably going to take that and make the improvements that are necessary, which I do think is going to be in his stand-up game. He's going to be the taller and longer of the two fighters, in which Borralho hasn't had that much experience in fighting. I think that his ability to stay on the sides is going to take away Borralho's his power forward, his power double leg, which he likes to implement to get his opponents against the cage and then uses judo trips to get to the ground. Borralho also likes to keep his chin up and open when he steps back away from an opponent using that karate style, while Muradov loves to use his double jab to establish the length, as well as when he rushes in with his hooks, he's very good and very accurate and very powerful at catching his opponent. So I think that if there is an opportunity for an underdog, I think this is the play to make. I think that his takedown defense, his striking accuracy, which I think he is better at than Borralho on the feet. The only problem being is that of Borralho using his fighter IQ, if he is able to, get this fight against the cage and get it down to the ground, I feel that, Muradov's going to have some trouble there, of course. He's not the best, but he does do a good job of getting back to his feet, implementing his the legs on the inside to push off against his opponent, and is pretty good against a submission defense. Mearshart is an entirely different beast. Borralho does show some gaps in his ground game when he does go for the rear naked chokes and how he implements kind of like his ground control. So that's my opinion there on the Muradov side. I like it. I think he's going to make those improvements after taking that year off and being on that 14 winning streak up until Mearshart.
I love Caio Borralho. We got introduced to him in Dana White Contender Series, and he got his first fight in Contender Series, and he went to decision because that's what he does. He likes to grapple, It's not lay and pray. He's definitely a lot more active than some of the other guys, but he does love to grapple. It makes for sometimes not the most exciting fights, and he easily won his first Contender Series fight, and Dana White said, no thanks. You're amazing, but you got to have finishes. So they gave him another shot, and of course he knocks the guy out in the first round. But in his two UFC fights, he just went back to his roots, and he just used the implementing, just nonstop takedowns and tackles, good grappling, good wrestling. He beats Omargadzev in his first one, and then I thought his fight against Armen Petrosyan was really, really nicely done. Petrosyan's no joke. That was a real, opponent for him. I'm with you on Muradov. I have some questions about Muradov, and I'll just start with his opponents. So he loses to DeChirico, who's 1-5 in his last 6 UFC fights. He beats DeChirico. Then he beats Trevor Smith, who's 1-4 in his last 5 fights. Then he beats Adrian Sanchez, who's 1-3 in his last 4 UFC fights. And now Sanchez is in Eagle FC. And then he loses to Mearshart, who it looked like he almost got himself a little tired, and Mearshart waited him out, got him down, and once he got him down, it was over. So I just have questions about Muradov's lack of really, really good opponents. I think this is a step up for Borralho, but I think it's a big step up for Muradov as well. And based on what I saw with Mearshart, I just don't know if Muradov can weather the storm. Borralho does have some cardio concerns, But I also think Muradov is going to have some cardio concerns of his own if he keeps getting taken down and he has not fixed that takedown defense. Borralho, I think, is really just coming into his own. I think he's shown improvement each and every fight. He's not fantastic on the stand-up, but his kicks are good enough to keep the distance. He's got a really good front kick. Doesn't utilize it as much as I would like, but he utilizes it and then works really, really hard for the takedowns. My issue with this fight, Nathan, is the odds. I think both you and I agree hard that Borralho should not be this big of a favorite. I think he wins, but I do not agree with the odds. I would be a touch worried about putting it in parlays. I do think he comes out with a decision win. But even though you like Muradov and I like Caio Borralho, I think we agree that this fight is going to maybe not go the distance, but it's definitely going to go deep into the fight. And I think that's the best way to attack this from a gambling perspective. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I do think that right now, I think what you said was open is that we're waiting kind of on these round lines. I know the 2.5 is going to be out there. I don't know. I think it's
plus money.
Here's what I like. I like the 2.5 is great. I like the over 1.5. The reason being is because if it goes my way, Muradov is notorious for the late round finishes because of his pace, because of his cardio. If he's able to implement that against Borralho, I think it's going to spell some trouble as the damage starts to acquire, and I could see a late round finish. So taking that over 1.5 just kind of guarantees me that round 3 sort of question mark should Muradov get the advantage.
And it fits really, really well into Borralho. He's not an early finisher. He got a KO in Dana White Contender Series pretty much because they told him he had to. Other than that, it's just decision for Borralho. So if he's going to win, it's going to be by decision or maybe a late submission. So if you want to attack this fight, guys, look at those alternate lines over 1.5 rounds. Or maybe you like the plus money at 2.5 rounds or this fight to go the distance. But it's a very high-level fight. Both fighters with high IQ should be a lot of fun. So don't underestimate this being a really entertaining fight on an absolutely loaded card on UFC 280. Once again, we have a 5% play that is up on wagertalk.com. Just take a look at my profile, and you'll see it up there. Me and Nathan collaborate on all those. So good luck, everyone. Let's have a great event. Let's turn it into a very profitable weekend, and good luck. We'll see you next week on another Fight Breakdown.